guys, welcome back once again to the Bavarian Soundworks Stage 1 Speaker Installation Guide series. Here we are in the front door panel of an E82 or E88 1 Series convertible. Well, this is actually a coupe. Convertible front doors are identical. So we're going to get these doors off, obviously, to upgrade our speakers. And to do so, it's very straightforward. As per usual, we do not use metal panel removal tools when doing this. We always start with our plastic panel removal tool. And in the 1 Series, it's going to be really difficult to show, but you can see where my finger goes. You'll feel a hole between the front wood grain, or it may be metal, or it may be carbon. You can see there's a seam that runs along this edge, and we're going to separate the front from the back. So this seam is essentially where we're splitting the panel. Back here, you'll feel a hole. You can actually get your finger in it a little bit. And that's where we're going to begin our prying. The panel comes right out. There's no hinging or anything. It comes directly towards you. So we're going to take our plastic panel removal tool, and we're going to kind of get it back in there. And then we're going to just pull out. And I don't know if you saw that. What I did, I twisted the tool. And in twisting it, it pops the bottom edge free. And once that bottom edge is free, we then want to use our hands the rest of the way up. So just come, you can see the panel freeing itself. Take firm grip, but don't pull too hard. It's going to just come. Comes off like so. And you can see there's a couple little, these are the metal clip, these are the attachment points. And this one, for example, got hung up on there. I'm glad actually it did. So just reinstall it right back on there for when we put the panel back on. And place this panel to the side so as not to scratch it or damage it. And what that's going to do for us is reveal 1, and can't see, 2 Torx T20 bolts. Again, we're going to remove each one of these. And this is super exciting, so check it out. So with the Torx T20 bolts removed from the door handle, we're going to move back to this little guy here. It's just a little plastic panel there. We're going to have to use an angle tool to pop out. So this is included in your BSW toolkit. You want to be kind of careful. The plastic isn't particularly malleable, but you know, so just we're going to take this. There's a little tab there. I'm just going to pop it out like so. Well, I wouldn't recommend putting your thumb over that with the pick tool there. But I just didn't want to shoot it across the floor. So with that out, it reveals yet another Torx T20 bolt, which we will remove. And this one's different from the front too, so don't confuse these when you're putting the car back together. This is more of a machined bolt as opposed to a screw, like a cutting type screw. So you want to make sure that the silver bolt goes back into the back portion of the door panel, and the black bolts go into the door handle. So with those guys removed, the door is essentially free at this point. We're going to have to snap it off. But in the 1 Series, which differs from every other model out there, we actually have to get the window controls out before we get the panel off. It's the same on the passenger door and the driver's door. It's kind of tricky to do, and I want to show you up here how we do this. There are clips here, 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 and here. There are tabs here and here which go back. So what you actually have to do is you have to pry up the panel here. So when you lift up, and then you lift this way, because back here there are 2 tabs that extend below this edge. So you must pry this front edge up and the sides up and pull up this way, because if you try prying from the back, you're going to break it because the tabs aren't going to give, whereas the clips do give. So with our plastic panel removal tool, and keep in mind this can take a couple of seconds, and it's a little bit, if you've not done this before, you may think you're going to break the panel. It's very difficult to break. The plastic is pretty durable. I start here and work my way around, and then it's a combination of your hands and your tool. So using your panel tool, you work your way around it, because you actually have to get the panel used to the idea that, hey, I'm coming out of here. And you can see that it'll start to come, and then it kind of says, no, we're not coming out of there. I don't think so. So, just working around this lip. back side's one of the trickier sides. It just takes a minute to convince it that it is in fact coming out of here, and you can see it keeps wanting to go back down. If you've got a couple of panel removal tools, if you've got an extra one or you've got something else lying around, there we go. You can see now the panel is largely free, and this is where it gets kind of tight. So you just have to pry it up out of there. And this one, see, that's okay. Now we're just going to unplug the switch. And you can see what I'm talking about with the plastic tabs on the back and the clips on the side. And this one, the clip bent just a little bit, but that's okay. We can bend it back down. There we go. And that'll snap right back in when we're done with it. So with this out, we can now go ahead and start taking the door panel off. And these 1 series are very, very, very well done. The clips are extremely tight. So again, the trick is we've got to start on one section of the door with our tool, and then we're going to use our hands to work around the outer perimeter. And then lastly, we'll pull off the door panel from its top hinges. So again, with our plastic panel removal tool, I want to start up on this front edge where it's the most hidden if you were to inadvertently scratch a panel. And then you get your tool back there, and that's going to just pop. You heard it. That gets the first little tab off, and from there we can use our hands. And like I said, these 1 series are tight, so firm grip, firm pressure, but don't rip it. You couldn't hurt it anyway, but just firm pressure. And the panel keeps coming and coming and coming. And now you're going to want to take a firm grip of the panel because we're taking this top lip off. It just comes right off, and you can see the door clip here. We're going to lift up and off of the door tab, and that just leaves a couple of plugs and our door switch. Well, actually, let's do this first. We'll just unplug the mid-range driver and the tweeter. So that's very simple to do. It just pulls straight out. And lastly, we just have our door clip here, which, like all of the BMWs, let's see if I can show this down here. There's a plastic clip right down here, a little white tab, and what we're going to do is we're going to push it back and lift up at the same time. So using one hand lifting up, let me show you how I did that again. So you can see how this works. It goes down in, and you can watch the clip. Let me see if I can't show you. The clip latches. So what we're essentially doing is flexing this clip off and pulling up at the same time. And be careful, you could nick your finger with the clip. And it's much more methodical than that. This is just kind of, but it's very well done. You're not going to break it. You can't damage it. It's a very well designed piece. So with the door clip removed, we just unhook it from its clips down here, and the panel is now free from the car. So at this point, we're going to take our panel over to our workspace and replace the mid-range driver, and we'll come back and we'll get the tweeter pod off and replace the tweeter and proceed with the reassembly. So now that we're on our workspace, and again, making sure it's clean so as not to scratch your door panel up, we want to go ahead and get the mid-range driver off of the door panel. It's secured by 3 8mm nuts. So using our 8mm socket wrench, or if you've got a nut driver, or if you've got just a set of pliers, ideally you'll have some nut drivers because you will have watched this before you bought it. We'll get this guy off of the door panel, and we're going to talk a little bit also about sound deadening. And with this door panel, it's a little tricky because of all of the ribs on the back of the panel for the BMW is added for stiffness. We've got to kind of compromise and make a lot of little cuts in this sound deadening material and apply it between the ribs. So that's kind of a laborious process. So what I'm going to do is, with the panel, or with the mid-range off rather, we're going to turn the cameras off, and I'm going to cut up the pieces of sound deadening so that they fit within all these little tabs here. And then when we turn the cameras back on to reinstall the mid-range drivers, you guys will be able to see how I've put it in there and just give you a rough idea on that process. So now that we've applied our sound deadening, carefully I might add, as you can see, it's very simple to bolt the new mid back on there. Just drop it on there. Again, we want to make sure that the foam gasket is not impeded and is nice and flat so that it sandwiches and forms a nice airtight seal. So with the mid dropped onto the panel, we just want to start threading the nuts onto the bolts by hand. Make sure you start them by hand and not with a socket because we don't want to run the risk of stripping anything out. So get them as snug as you can with your fingers. And then I kind of go around. These guys are tight, by the way. You want to work your way around the driver, snugging up the nuts onto the bolts because you don't want to get one super tight and then have one not tight at all. It won't form a nice seal. So kind of work your way around. So snug, snug. Snug, and then we want to firm them. So and you'll know when it's firm because if you're using any real resistance, it's too tight. So that's good, and that's good. So with the mid securely placed on the door, we're going to move our door panel off to the side. We'll join you back in the car. We're going to get our tweeter panel off, bring it over to the workspace, and knock out the tweeter upgrade. So we'll see you guys in just a moment. So to remove our tweeter pod from the door panel, it's secured by two different tabs. There's a tab about here, there's a tab about here, and there's a front lip on the pod itself that wraps around behind this gasket here. So the way we remove this, we actually pull down, so we're going to pull the whole pod down and off. And then you can see back here, there's just a little tab here, a little tab here, and you can see this lip here. This lip is actually what hooks around this gasket here. So as we're pulling down, we're pulling in. It's very straightforward. Tweeter pod's off. We're going to take this up to the workspace, upgrade the tweeter, and get this door back together. So to access our tweeter, the first thing we need to do is to remove the foam little backing here. Very straightforward. Pulls right out. Now our tweeter is secured by 1, 2, 3, and 4 tabs. They're roughly, I call them 8 o'clock, 10:30, 1:30, 4 o'clock. They're kind of a weird little configuration. So essentially all we're going to do is using one of our straight picks, we're going to just pry these little tabs out. So it's very easy to do this. Pry, pry, pry on all 4 of them. And then the tweeter's just going to come right out. Factory tweeter pops right out. Easy, easy, easy. So now we'll take our front tweeter and new BSW 25mm tweets, and they simply snap right in. The first thing we're going to do actually here, this is kind of an early production run. I'm going to bend those down just a smidge. The new tweeter, as you can see, is a beautiful machined aluminum housing, silk dome, plug-and-play connectors. It's just a flawless driver. It snaps right in, replacing the factory tweeter perfectly. Simply line it up, snaps in, just like so. With the tweeter in, we take our phone, snap it right back in. We take our tweeter back over to the door, and we start the party. So let's join you guys back at the door panel for the tweeter pod reinstallation, as well as the door panel installation, and finish up this stage 1 upgrade. So as we're reinstalling our tweeter pod, again, take note of the little tabs here. These are the tabs that secure the pod on the inside, whereas the lip here secures it on the outside. So again, we have to kind of start with the lip because that's the trick. So we're going to take the lip here. We hook the lip, kind of lift up, and so like so. And you can see the pod is perfectly in place on the lip. You can see that it follows the line up here on the gasket, and our pod is securely in place. So at this point, we're going to take our tweeter wire, we're going to tuck it right behind here. Again, we want to make sure we keep it out of the way of this screw. This is where the handle attaches back on. So with this down here, we're going to go grab the door panel, reinstall the door panel, plug everything back up, and move along. So with the door panel in our lap, let's go ahead and make all the connections back to the panel to get the door successfully reinstalled. We're going to start with the door handle, which, as you can see, this is open, this is closed. And you can see what happens here. Open, closed. It must be closed to reinstall this piece properly. So open, closed. So with your left hand, hold the door handle closed. With your right hand, you're going to hook it like so. Very straightforward. We're going to just hook this guy right back down in here into his little guides. We'll now take our window switch, put it right through here. And at this point, we'll get the door lock switch roughly where it needs to be. That may move around a little bit, but don't worry about that. And the last thing we're going to do is plug in our tweeter in mid-range. So the tweeter, it's keyed to only go in one way, like so. Mid-range, one way as well. And we want to, there we go, you can kind of see, we want to move these to the side, like that. And then back here, we take the tweeter, or the door lock rather, fish it through the hole in the panel, and here's where we preliminarily align the panel. So you can see now, and remember, the last thing we did when we took the panel off was secure the top, was remove the top edge. When we put it on, we secure the top edge first. So you can see that everything is roughly aligned. And at this point, using the palm of your hand, not a whole heck of a lot of force, while lifting up at the same time. Now, on this back edge, you can see how some of the clips aren't exactly lined up. So we just take our finger, line them up, like so, and then in an upward fashion, so like this, with the clips aligned, we're going to come up into the panel. And then we run our finger around the bottom and outer edges to confirm that it's all flush, and we are good to go. So, at this point, we're just going to reinstall the panel, reinstall the screws. Again, the machine screw goes here in the back, if you'll recall. The threaded screws, which I have, there they are, they're on the magnetic piece, go back into these locations. I've left my Torx T20 over on the workbench, so again, as exciting as all of this was. We'll get to those lastly. So we'll get those kind of roughly in place, and I want to go over with you the installation of the window switches, and this is identical on the passenger and the driver's side. So we'll plug it in first. And if you recall, the tabs on the back, those are going to go in first. So we put the back end first, and then from there, we snap in the rest of the panel. It's very straightforward. And the last thing we do, of course, is snap on our trim. Now this is something that you need to, it's very straightforward to do. You have to line everything up. There's these tabs go in these outer slots. These tabs go in these slots. And then these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go in here, and you can see how they all line up. This is something that you have to, the trick is the bottom here. So there's a little tab right here. That slots into this. So that being said, let us hook it down here. As you can see, I've done this 40 times maybe, and I still have to think about it a little bit. Not much though. As you can see, I'm still thinking about it. So with the panel securely in place, at this point, we'll pop in the little trim piece over this back screw. So moving into the rear deck, to access these rear speakers, there's a couple of different ways we can do it. You could fold down the seats and make it easy, or you could just do it the way I do it, which is not do it that way. Pop your headrests up and gain access to the grille here. Again, using our plastic panel removal tool, we want to start on the front edge. So we have a clip here, we have a clip here, we have a clip on the outside and a clip on the inside. There are tabs here on the rear, and you'll see that here momentarily. So we're going to start on this front edge by taking our plastic panel removal tool, wedging it between the deck and the grille, and popping it up, like so. Taking our thumb, again, to free the panel. So we want to minimize the use of the tool and use our hand as often as possible. We'll work this side edge here. And now you can see I lift up and pull towards the front of the car, and the grille is free, exposing the mid-range driver. At this point, you can see that the driver is held in place by 3 8mm bolts. So we'll take our 8mm wrench, free this up. It doesn't get any more straightforward than this. Some guys like to start with the easier speakers, the rear deck and the center channel. It's because it gives you that sense of accomplishment, and it just makes things go a little bit easier. You may do that yourself if you like. Again, it's very straightforward. We're just going to pop the mid-range out, unplug it as we've done the other drivers in the car, place it aside, take our new BMW mid-range, plug it in, drop it in, get it situated. We're going to start the screws by hand. You don't want to immediately start it with the socket. Always start by hand. Tighten it right back down. It really doesn't get much easier than these rear deck drivers. Take our, again, snug them up and then firm them once they've all been snugged. Voila. Our panel, again, we take our rear tabs towards the rear windshield, insert them in, firm, even pressure applied downwards, the grille is in place, and we've completed the rear deck. And we are done with our stage 1 install. So at this point, we're going to hop into the cabin, go over a couple of quick tuning bits with you, and let you loose and enjoy the new system. So we've completed the stage 1. We're inside the car, we're jamming out. It sounds phenomenal. I'm going to go over with you guys a couple of quick settings on your head unit. This is applicable to the 1 Series, the 3 Series, the 5 Series, any of the non-iDrive cars. We're going to go into our bass and treble settings. So the first thing we're going to do is access them. I set the bass at flat. I find it to be the most balanced that way. The woofers aren't overbearing. The mid-ranges aren't distorting. So by keeping the bass at flat, it's going to optimize the sound quality in the vehicle. The treble, you can make a couple of adjustments. Again, +1, +2. +1 for me is ideal for the majority of the music that I'm listening to. But if you're listening to some older rock and roll or something that's a little bit hollow, you may want to make some adjustments to your treble. Your balance and fader, of course, you want to have them in the middle. Maybe one off to the right, because these cars are a little left side biased. So I kind of bump it over to the right sometimes, depending on, again, the music. But largely you want it in the middle. Same thing with your fader, which is over here. And again, you want that in the middle, just to keep everything nice and balanced. So now that everything is up and running, we've got our settings approximately where we want them for the initial listen. We can set you free and let you enjoy the new stage 1. So thanks again for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again in the future on another project, another car. Again, thanks so much.